Welcome to the world of zip system building enclosures, where we believe in striving for optimal air, water, and thermal management, no matter the region or climate. Because when you have the right products to do the right job the right way, the first time, you're building to a higher code, the zip code.
I'm Jake Bruton, and today we're going to talk about a commercial renovation that my firm, Aarow Building, is wrapping up in Columbia, Missouri, and the little challenges that we face taking over one that somebody else had already started. Let's do it now. Okay, this is a small building here in Columbia, Missouri that in my lifetime and growing up in Missouri has been a number of things. I think it was a t-shirt shop at one point. I think it was an arcade at one point. I think my parents remember it being a bar maybe. This thing has been a whole bunch of stuff over the years, and it has been purchased by a client that we have a bunch of other stuff with over the years, and they really found an odd place with this building, and we were able to bring our touch to this project, and we just kind of wanted to brag and talk about the difficulties of this as well. So when the client called last year, they said, hey, we're thinking about buying this building. Can you come take a look at it? And I actually walked in to take a look at it, and the person who owned it before was still working on it. They were physically here doing work, covered in drywall dust, and some drywall was done, some insulation was done, some electrical was done, but there were walls that didn't have electrical in them and didn't have insulation and didn't have drywall, and it was like, this thing is kind of a mess, and I have no idea where to start. And there were all these questions about what the space would be if we bought the building, or if our client bought the building, and where we would fit. And it was kind of an open-ended project. And we just said, yeah, we trust you, and you trust us, we can figure something out. And that's where it all started. And in a commercial setting, unlike some residential settings in our market, that means we have to rework the plans immediately because we can't do something that the city isn't going to allow. So we immediately had to stop and figure out what our goal was. So the original plans for this renovation were drawn as a bar/restaurant, and the owner was like, kind of, well, maybe it'll be that, maybe it'll be something else, and we helped connect the renters that are going to move in a few weeks with the building owner, and it was going to be a t-shirt shop, which is coming in here. 573 Tees is moving in here, so you can check them out. And that meant that we weren't going to have hoods in the back, we weren't going to have the electrical consumption or gas lines in the back, and it meant that we didn't need all these sinks and soda fountains or walk-in coolers. So there was a lot of stuff that had to come out of the plans, and we had to resubmit a permit. And that resubmittal actually got us an alteration rather than a whole new permit, and we just moved it to our name. So it is actually very easy in that sense, that the architects moved very quickly and the city moved very quickly, and it was kind of way simpler than most commercial projects. So we were very lucky in that sense. And then we had to problem solve the space. So when you take something over that's partly done, or when you're renovating something, you don't have the luxury of knock it down and start over, right? You have the luxury of, here are the things that exist, we have to deal with them. How do we deal with them in a way that makes sense? So in this building, we had a roof leak that no one knew about when we bought the building because it had a brand new roof and the roof had just been poorly done. We had garage doors that were on the front of the building that were supposed to be this very inviting thing that faced the street, where when this was going to be a bar, you were going to sit at the front of the building and be able to talk to people on the sidewalk. It's very close and very engaging to the sidewalk. We had this odd finished pocket in the side of the wall that is like, it was already done and it had electrical in it, and I think it was going to house TVs, but this isn't going to be a let's have a bunch of TVs type space. It had these posts in the middle of the room, and it had beams running down the middle of the room, and it had HVAC in like odd locations. So we immediately said, well, we don't have the budget to move structural elements. We don't have the budget to create a new facade. We don't really have the budget to, and the lights just clicked off. We don't have the budget to do away with all these things, so how do we work around them? And I think we found quite a few cool solutions here. Starting with the garage doors, they were a real challenge. When they actually got here, we realized that they were smoky glass, and we had already painted the outside of the building gray, and the smoky glass from the outside with the gray building made it look like a government black ops site where we didn't want anybody to know what was going on in here, instead of a inviting retail space. It's nice when the windows were open, but when they were closed, it was blacked out like some sort of private building that you didn't want anybody knowing about. So we had some effort there that we had to swap glass in those, and that was a challenge. The other aspect that we hadn't thought about, because we've never done garage doors that landed in the middle of a wall, they normally come down and land on concrete, is, well, when they land on concrete, that water that drifts down them just runs out. Here, we had to create some stainless steel pans for those to land inside. So we have a waterproof window rough opening, and then we have stainless steel pans, and the pans actually have to capture the sides of the track so that everything lands down inside there, and it can melt out or it can drain out. That was like step one. Step two, we have these structural beams that were very gross looking, and they're drywalled to them on both sides. Our cabinet shop was great. They said, as with all of our subs on this one, whatever you want, we can do it. They brought us countertops, they brought us the wood octagons that we'll talk about in a second, and they brought us wood beams. So these wood beam covers are actually stained plywood, stained and clear-coated plywood, and we were able to have our trim carpenter install it in a way where it actually looks like a large wood beam. It's very nice, it's very clean. It was a very simple solution to this gross-looking old 2x12 with nails and staples and all that kind of stuff in it. And I think it really started to make the space feel whole because we have 3 of them in here. Next on the ceiling is the same sort of problem. We had these HVAC outlets that weren't going to throw space or throw HVAC around the space very well, and we just said, well, it's commercial. We get to use cool-looking spiral ductwork for once. It's not something we've done in a residential setting. This time we get something cool. We get to install spiral ductwork. We had to work around filter locations and things like that, so everything's not perfect as if we had been here in the design process from the beginning, but it worked really well. And we have this nice exposed galvanized ductwork, and it kind of brought us to our columns. These columns were coated with like 30 coats of paint. They were gross looking. One of them had gum stuck to it still. I tried to get it off with a screwdriver and it was like petrified. One of our site carpenters said, why don't we just ask our HVAC guys to bend us ductwork and then we'll pop rivet it on. Yeah, if this was a bar, this probably wouldn't last long term. This is probably something that would get dented in the first 6 months. Somebody slams a stool into it or something. I don't envision 573Ts having rowdy get-togethers in here that cause problems for these lasting a while. But this was a very inexpensive solution. This was a 1 day for my carpenter and a half day for one of the sheet metal guys, and like $300 in galvanized ductwork. This was as cost effective as we could solve that. One place that we actually did spend quite a bit of money were the hexagon details in the room. They're like in multiple different places. So every time you have an exit, we have them around the exit to kind of denote the pathways in and out of the space. And then we kind of have this like gathering space around the counter. I think most of the work in the room will take place here. It was really interesting to work through this. We did multiple sizes, multiple colors. Our cabinet guys just kept saying, yeah, we can do that, not a big deal. They have a CNC, everything was cut, they're all the same size. Our trim carpenter, Caleb, he really knocked it out of the park on all of this. I showed up one day to look at what he was working on. He had drawings of the space to scale that he had done in SketchUp with the pattern detailed on it so that it would look random, so that the pieces would be cut to decent sizes, so that he wouldn't get to the end of a long run like this and then have a little sliver left. He had really taken the time to nail the details before getting here and made his value something that was worth it here on this project where we already had something that was kind of expensive. Last, we have that weird bump in the wall. The client said, let's just throw an LED light in there and put a pattern on it. I think it turned out really cool. It's just this abstract art piece that yeah, it works. For some reason, it just works, and it's simple, and it was an easy way to just fill that space. Again, we have LEDs. Our carpenter installed them with the electrician, and then our glass guy went, yeah, we can get etched glass. We'll just etch the back of it, and then we can put a film on the front, and it'll make it kind of blurry. This is the example of everything in here are things that we haven't dealt with before. We haven't really done spiral ductwork. We haven't done plywood beam covers. We haven't done galvanized post covers. We haven't done garage doors that land in the middle of the wall. But between our team, a great client, and great subs all just saying, yes, we can do that. We can execute it. We all just went to our strengths and executed. And I think that that's something that sometimes we forget, especially in residential construction where it's like A, B, C, this is the way we do it. Sometimes we forget that we can go, oh, we can apply that in a different way. We can be creative and we can be flexible and just say, yes, we can do that. So I think if you take the time, you look at your skill set, you look at the people you work with skill set, you might be able to expand your catalog or your repertoire, if you might say. So take the time, think about what you can do, and try to do something different. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe to the Unbuild It podcast. We're now publishing first and third Wednesday of the month here on Build Show Network. Yeah, you get it a day early if you check it out on Build Show Network. You can still get it on the Thursday, the same day that you normally would on all the other platforms still, but you get a day early on Wednesdays or on Build Show Network. And have a nice day.